welcome to Centre Court with thanks to OMF. Kick back and relax with an adjustable bed from Australian designed and owned OMF. Watch sport your way. And Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil, grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. I'm Bianca Chatfield and round 14 is done. My co-host today, Eleanor Cardwell. Welcome back to the desk, Elle.
Hello, hello.
Can you believe we finally know who is in that top four?
I know the season's gone so quick, but yeah, it's coming up to a really exciting time for finals.
Big, lots to talk about, plenty on the agenda for today, but you know what, let's get straight into our OMF overview. Watch sport your way and take a look how the ladder has finished as we finish the home and away season. West Coast Fever take that top position. They're the minor premiers. They'll take on the New South Wales Swifts next week in the major semi-final that happens in Perth. Then a big win for the Adelaide Thunderbirds. They not only got themselves into the top four by beating the Lightning, they've taken third position and they will host the minor semi-final against the Melbourne Vixens. I wonder how the Vixens are feeling. Obviously didn't get the win over in Perth, but having to face Adelaide Thunderbirds next week will be something I'm sure they're going to be having plenty of meetings about over the week as well. Our team of the week, there was plenty of performers across the weekend. Elle, you were up at the game between the Giants and the Mavericks. And a teammate of yours, Jo Harten, can you talk us through her performance? And it was her last game, but it's hard to believe it's her last one.
I know, as soon as she announced her retirement in the week, I was like, oh boy, like she's about to have the game of her life. And she really, really did do that. She was just on it from the start. Like, I know there was, I think, 5 minutes, 3 seconds left in a quarter, like plays herself in to get a super shot. Like, you just knew from that moment that she was in it. And also that last shot at the end was a really nice way to finish the game.
I know, what a fairy tale finish for her. 7 from 11 super shots in the end. A handy win for the Giants, but of course that was a bit of a dead rubber in the end. Your Mavericks finished off the season, unfortunately, with a loss, but what does that mean now? What does off-season mean, or what does it look like for this week? Because it kind of probably feels a bit weird that it's all just ended now.
Yeah, it does feel a bit weird, and just because it's finished now doesn't mean like that's it. They have fitness testing this week just to see how the program's gone throughout the year and to see what changes we need to bring in for next year. And yeah, there's lots of meetings, lots of debrief, and looking ahead for next year. So we're still together a lot, but yeah. There's lots happening.
And lots of training, no doubt, continues because international's coming up. So whether it's the Diamonds or the Roses, all of that training still has to take place. Is that somewhat done on your own, or do you all get together in groups? Or because you're playing for England, do they then isolate you and say, go and do your stuff on the side? How does that work?
Yeah, they just leave me to fend for myself. No, definitely not. I think me and Amy will probably do a fair bit of training together. I mean, we're still teammates at the end of the day. And yeah, we'll just be hitting the court, definitely keeping up with weights, and yeah, whenever there's any internationals in the same club, you tend to train with each other and get yourself through that really weird phase where you're not in club but you're also not with the international side.
I know people probably don't quite understand what a weird position you're in, and even with what happens next season, do you know for yourself what's going to happen next season? Is there a bit of unknown for you, or?
Yeah, it's a bit, it's a crazy period, and I mean, everyone has conversations, you have your agents have the conversations and stuff like that, so I think that's all happening at the minute, but yeah, who knows?
Ooh, who knows? We shall wait and see. Well, that was the OMF overview. Kick back and relax with an adjustable bed from Australian design and owned OMF. Watch sport your way. Now it is time to get to the good oil. Thanks to Cobram Estate, Australia's extra virgin olive oil. We did touch on Jo Harten, but we thought we should really celebrate that milestone again. 20 seasons at the elite level. She's done it all. And for her, she's been such a solid performer, not just for England, but also what she's been able to do with the Giants. We hear a lot of the players, especially the Giants players, talk about what she's like as a leader. Can you give us an example or just talk to us about what she does bring as a leader in that role?
Yeah, she's an incredible teammate. I think for England, she brings an awesome energy. I think she makes everyone feel comfortable in the environment. For example, coming from a youngster coming in, I feel like you'd be a bit intimidated by Jo Harten because she's such a big name and such a big character. You'd be a little bit intimidated, but straight away she's the first one to get the girls together in a room and play some fun games. She's the first one there every single day, and she just makes it really light-hearted and makes you want to feel involved and makes you just want to be around her all the time. So she's an awesome character to have in a team, and I think she will be missed by. I mean, we've missed her at England. So yeah, I'm sure she'll be missed terribly by her Giants teammates.
Oh yes, and you know, it's funny for me, I've never played in a team with her. I've only ever played against her, and that experience does not come across when you take her on. She is one keen competitor out there. I had plenty of battles on her, especially when she was young coming through, and she was so emotional, and oh wow, she was just awesome to come up against, such a competitor. Another thing we should touch on too was the huge attendance that has been at all the games around. Now more records are being broken. 343,634 people have gone to the netball over the season, and also this weekend alone we had records again over at RAC Arena for the Fever and the Vixens game. That got over 12,000 people. I know for the Adelaide Thunderbirds Lightning game, I've never been in front of a crowd. It was so loud, Al. You would know exactly what it's like to play over there. But even in comms, apologies, we were yelling and screaming because we could not hear anything. Like, it felt like we had to scream over top of the audience. It was unbelievable. I can only imagine what a fortress that is going to be for the Thunderbirds in this minor semi-final coming up this weekend. Well, that was the good oil, thanks to Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil. Grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. Now it's time now for our local legends, all thanks to CRT. Farming starts with CRT. Now this week we spotlight the Herald Sun's article listing the top country netballers this year in Country Vic. Do you know what? I absolutely love this because often it's hard enough for the elite teams and the elite female athletes to get enough acknowledgement in the media, but I love now that we're not just doing what's happening at the top, we're also going out to all of the communities where netball is the heart and soul, and these are some of the names that have been featured in the Herald Sun, highlighting plenty of talent around Victoria. So well done to the Herald Sun for doing that, and well done for all of you who are out there every single weekend, no matter what the weather conditions, just having a crack and enjoying the game that Al and I love so much. And that was Local Legends. No matter where you live or what you farm, it starts with CRT. So, 2 big games coming up. We're into the finals. This time it is Thunderbirds and Vixens in that minor semi-final. Now this is an elimination final. So whoever loses, season is over. Whoever wins will progress through to the preliminary final next week. When you have a look at this, the last time the Vixens beat the Adelaide Thunderbirds was last season. That was when it was at John Cain Arena, the game. But of course, we know the history for the poor Vixens against the Thunderbirds. And I say that because it doesn't matter how good each team is performing, there is a real mental factor in this game. Yeah. For you, when you look at this matchup, you know, how do you think this one's going to play out?
I mean, I think Thunderbirds definitely have the edge, and as you said, I feel like they have the psychological edge. That's a huge thing. No matter what tactics you put out there, and you'll still always be in the back of your brain that you've lost the last 5 games against them. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting game, but I do think Thunderbirds have the edge, and I think their performances as well coming into the latter end of the season have definitely been improving and been building. Yeah,
they have, and I mean, it was impressive. Romelda Aitken-George for me was a real standout for them. We've seen it time and time again in the important games. She finds a way, and it's not just, I mean, obviously her accuracy. She misses goals under the post, she gets the rebound. So you can't even really look at her accuracy and judge her performance. To me, she was running down balls like I'd never seen before. She was in phenomenal form. And Elle, you've played for the Adelaide Thunderbirds, you won a premiership with them. I want to get insights from you about how their defensive structure is set up, because we've seen Latanya Wilson with a record-breaking feat in goalkeeper last week against your Mavericks. Then they shuffle it around, they put Latanya out on Steph Fretwell for the Lightning. Matilda Garrett then steps into that goalkeeper position. Whatever structure is taking place out the front is just made for that goalkeeper to shine, and obviously Shamira Sterling-Humphrey has had that bib for so long. Yeah. How much effort and energy would go into defensive structures at training when you're a part of the team?
I mean, it's been a lot of years and that Kathy's been putting effort into those defensive strategies, and I think it's all credit to her that it is so seamless when they have a rotation in there and have a different goalkeeper, different defender, and they're still coming away with ball. And I think it's the effort from those around the goalkeeper as well to shut down and to create that pressure from the very start, I think, and just have a presence on that court. And like when, say, Tilly Garrett's out at goal defence, her arms, like you can't just sit back and relax for a second because you know she's going to come in and get a tip. So, yeah, I think it's really commendable for Kathy that she just puts in the hard work, and they do a lot of video analysis and a lot of, I mean, Kathy's footwork sessions, they do a lot of them, which are not very nice. So that'll also be helping a lot. But yeah, it's hard to beat.
And of course, you're talking about Kathy Fellows, who, do you know what I had as a 14-year-old growing up? Kathy's been around for a long time, but has so much intel, and it was a very smart move by Tanya Obbs to take her across to the Thunderbirds a few years ago. For the Vixens, though, if they're going to win this game, what do you think they need to do?
I think they just need to go to their strengths, and their strengths are the ball speed, which will get the defenders' heads turning and preventing them being able to work together. So I think that's really, really key, and they just need to go in with confidence, and they've got everything to lose really, but yeah, just turn and shoot, I reckon, because I feel like they keep just passing it around. I'm like,
yes, that's interesting. Coming from a shooter, turn and shoot. The confidence, especially if they can do that in the first quarter, and that will certainly rattle the Thunderbirds defenders. So it's going to be a cracking game. That takes place on Sunday afternoon. The game time is 2 p.m. And then we'll head over to Perth for the West Coast Fever and the New South Wales Swifts. Now, always the major semi-final, whoever won this used to get to host the grand final. Not the case anymore. The grand final will be in Melbourne at Rod Laver Arena. Now, these two teams have had some epic battles. The Fever, Swifts beat the Fever early on without Fowler Nemard this season. Then the last game that they played, it was the Fever over the Swifts. I'm really intrigued to see how this one plays out. We keep saying, is anyone going to be able to beat the West Coast Fever? They are in great form. Even when challenged yesterday by the Vixens, they still managed to find a way to get back into their rhythm. The Swifts, on the other hand, they have been really battling to find their ways of that first half of the season. We've barely seen it in this second half of the season. They did all the hard work early to get themselves into that second spot. What do you think we need to see from the Swifts to be able to challenge the Fever?
I think where it's going really difficult for them at the minute is their mid-court. I don't think they really have a solid plan of what they're doing and who's taking up what Paige Hadley couldn't do this weekend because she wasn't in the squad. So I think it'll be really important that they can get Paige back out there. Potentially will be resting her this week, so to give her a chance for finals. So it'll be really interesting to see if she's back in the squad, because I think she brings that leadership in the middle and to just turn and look into the circle to Grace. So yeah, that's
I agree with you. The mid-court is interesting and such a big loss. Tegan O'Shannessy out with a back fracture. I think it's about a 12-week injury, and she has been one of the standout defenders when she gets court time, and that's just shattering news for the Swifts, because I think they really need her as their backup in defence and just as a different swing option, especially to try and shut down the likes of Fowler Nemard. But I guess with that comes opportunity. The West Coast Fever, Jordan Kransberg continues on her ways. Alice Teague-Neald, wasn't she phenomenal on the weekend against the Vixens? Her numbers, she just continues to produce this consistency of amazing performances.
Yeah, definitely. I think she's had it all as a wing attack this year. She has been delivering the feeds. She's been consistent, hitting circle edge, making sure she's got that easy feed. But then also she's been having a real impact on the defence as well. So yeah, I think she's been a real solid player this season.
3 games yesterday. Yeah. I mean, that's typical like what we see of Kira Austin. But oh my goodness, Fever continue to dominate. Well, make sure you catch both of those games on the weekend. They'll be on Fox Netball. They're both taking place on Sunday, so no netball on Saturday this weekend. But it's time now for Struddy's Social Scoop. Struddy's netball apparel design for the next generation of superstars. Style meets performance at struddys.com.au. Now, this week we have a question from Kate. She asks, now that we have finished the top 4, who do we think will win the premiership and why?
Good question. I am going to go with Fever. I think Fever are really dominating. They've come into some really good form, and yeah, I think they're untouchable at the minute.
Well, I think for me, West Coast Fever I tipped at the start of the season, so I'm going to back them in to win the grand final. But the one other team who I think can really shake things up and challenge them is the Adelaide Thunderbirds. I just think they've come under the radar. They seem to be able to pick apart teams and know how to beat them when it counts, and playing a different style depending on who they're playing. And I just get the feeling that if Thunderbirds can make the grand final, they could really shake things up against the Fever. But to me, I think we both agree, Fever are the absolute standout. It's theirs to lose, really. So let's see what happens. That was our social scoop, all thanks to Strutty's innovating netball apparel. And if you want to let us know, make sure you log on to our socials, send us a message, comment with who you think is going to win the grand final this year. Now there's only 4 teams left. Do we give the other teams a chance, or is Fever going to take it all out? I'd love to know your thoughts. Well, that was our episode of Centre Court for the end of the home away season. Thank you to OMF, Watch Sport Your Way, and Cobram Estate Australia's extra virgin olive oil. A big thank you to you, Al. I think this is your final episode for the season.
It is.
We've loved having you a part of the show. We hope to see you in Super Netball next season. I wonder where that will be. And a big thank you to all for watching. We'll be back next week.